Welcome to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And today I want to talk about developing your psychic abilities. And this is something that I'm always looking at. Um, and is something I actually believe you're born with. If you're going to use them. Another part of psychic abilities is your spiritual abilities. So, whether you're working with magic or whether you're working with psychic abilities or even just evolving yourself as a human being, when you take on a spiritual essence to it, or like a purpose, a mission, a value, when you add a spiritual component to it, it really ascends your vibration faster. So I'm not really saying religion. That can actually do the opposite. And so religion, as I define it, is a set of beliefs that you habitually keep choosing. Like you might say, I believe in God. God is love. Then you have to do that all the time to affirm it. And then you might make choices in a lifestyle and direct your character in a certain way. And your thinking model on how you construct your reality, you've now added this God component. And so, in a weird way, it kind of limits you, limits the infinite potential of possibilities and your capabilities. So, beliefs tend to limit you a lot. So, look at your beliefs as tools. So I was just gonna maybe write five to six um, things that could be limiting your power or help you access your power. Something to consider. I assume if you're wanting to develop your psychic and magical abilities, and maybe you've already done that to an extent, or realized you may have a potential. One of the big reasons or things you should consider is, with all this power, what do I want to do with it? Do I really want to serve other people? Or could I direct this power towards my own personal evolution and spiritual insight? So I feel in my case, it can go either way. But the more I personally ascend and evolve, um, the more use it's had towards my own self awareness. Awareness is the foundation of psychic and magical abilities. So anything you do to develop awareness, whether it's this dimension, using your five senses, or whether it's the next dimension, your astral five senses, can help easily open that up. So let's just drop that you're special somehow because you can work with magic and psychic abilities. Um, you don't, it doesn't make you better than the next person. The next person could actually be better at all that than you. They could be working it on the subconscious level and exceed you, but they just don't make it the center of attention. They don't make it a character on stage. They don't have to embody that character. That character might be sitting in the audience in their own show, working behind the scenes to make their life wonderful or not. So, self sabotage. Let's just get into it. So, we talked about awareness, and the first one on my list is body awareness. When a lot of people don't have personal body awareness, we're taught to think so much and do for others that a lot of our awareness is going out into our environment, and we don't have really good awareness of what our physical body is doing. So, this primal awareness of feeling your body, feeling your skin, really getting into your body is key for advanced work as well as basic work. Being able to ground and center and root into yourself acts as a magnet to bring the psychic energy to you, to bring the information to you and through you. And so the body is a sensory organ to help you navigate inner and outer realms. It's like your anchor into this dimension, and it's your reference point. Uh, we attach everything to ourself. So, taking care of your body, eating well, being in a good relationship with your body might be the one thing you need to do to improve your psychic abilities and your magical abilities. Okay, number 2 was drop the story about, you're special because maybe you had a near death experience or you had an awakening of some type. That can actually limit your ability because you're defining it. You're creating like a story, so you're eliminating other possibilities. If we entertain the idea that everyone is psychic or uses those abilities or can, and it's normal and natural, then you don't have to be special and you don't have to work hard. This, it's kind of like putting it on a pedestal. You overvalue it, then it makes it unreachable. Then you feel bad when you're not achieving this grand expectation. You don't need to worship people. You don't need to idolize psychics, magicians, gurus, saints, prophets, because once you realize you're on the same level, then you can see clearly. Instead of going to others for advice, you can go to yourself. And that was the whole point of you having abilities, is to ask within and get the insights, revelation, and understanding that you needed. So stop overvaluing the abilities. Quit making them special. Quit making them religious. Quit making them spiritual or evolved. Then it will be easier for you to access them and use them in a greater way, because now they're not hard to get. It's easy. You've now brought it down to your level of access. And that can be a starting point. I mean, everyone can do math, but not everyone does math like Einstein or someone who's really gifted in those abilities. So recognize, yes, there are some people who are way up there, but you got to start somewhere, and you need to be proud instead of shaming and blaming yourself and using spiritual development as a way to abuse yourself and others. Just be proud of where you're at and enjoy the journey. Like, I really love my journey of personal development that has spiritual and magical aspects to it. But I'm getting to know me, inside and out. And so that's what my abilities are for. It just so happens they can benefit other people. Okay. Learn to let go of your logical, reasoning, practical, analytical mind. You can do that before, you can do that after, you can do that whenever you want, but you're gaining a new level of information that part of your brain can't understand. So your reasoning logical mind is based in objective 3D reality, it's time based. You're moving to fourth and fifth dimension. So the information is more creative and subjective to a certain extent, but it's a whole nother level. So you're trying to understand, you can't compare the two during the development phase. You can you can see how it fits into your life. You can find the logic later, you can find the reason, the validation that you need after, or even before. You can get inspired by other people who deliver really good information. And then you can think about it as you want, as a hobby, whatever, but your thinking gymnastics is just not really that productive when it comes to accessing higher knowledge, inner knowledge. So think of it like that. I'm wanting to access higher, deeper inner knowledge. And I draw that through the magnet that my body is, through the electrical magnetic being that I am, through my aura, through my physicality. I draw what needs to be known to me. Could be like some positive affirmations. Let's see. So, speaking of drawing it to us and through us, number 4 is being in the present moment. Being in the present moment is how you access the quantum level of reality, levels. And being in the present moment is how you access your own personal energy. And being in the present moment also grounds and centers you. And when you include your body, then it becomes a magnet. And then when you bring it all the way into your physicality, then so you're getting a download, then you can upload it into your brain and make logical reason sense. You can then make words and spell it out. You can then cue up images. Then you can use it in practical terms. And you can use it with the knowledge you've accumulated. That becomes your vocabulary or your area of expertise. So now that we know that we're downloading from the universe and uploading into our mind and body, like, and putting it out into the world, we see that there's a connection between inner and outer worlds, out into the world, and then maybe even from the world, what we know, back up to the universe. So there's a connection, there's a circuit of energy, there's a circuit of information, and you are the component that might need to be cleaned up a bit, that might be a little rusty. That's not a good conductor. So you'll want to eliminate things. Lifestyle, I'm going to throw in there, is number 5. Past lifestyle would be trauma and the way you governed your life and the way people have mishandled you and you've allowed to be mishandled. Playing the victim mode, living in negativity, shame, blame, guilt, doubt, fear, all those negative perceptions, storylines, statements about yourself and others, and living in those lower emotions takes its toll on the spiritual being that you are. And you're rusty, you're outdated. You need to clean it up, get into the repair shop, get some new parts and pieces so you can work better. And so self-care becomes really important. Getting over your own bullshit, detaching. Detachment is an energetic thing as well as physical thing. So you detach from negative people, you stay away from them. But energetically, you got to emotionally detach. You got to mentally detach. You got to find neutrality. So this is something I don't think a lot of people are talking about, but we're not a culture that is comfortable with neutral. We're, yes, I really want that, or no, I don't. Yes, You're my friend. No, you're not my friend. Please and thank you, positive, validating, and rejection and blame and negative. Like, it's so bipolar, it's so separated. And spirit, or energy flow, the Tao, is neutral. When your mind is neutral, when your emotions are neutral, your body becomes neutral. And it's like a homeostasis, it's balanced. And so I like to think of the color silver. I like to think of the color gray. I like to think of the non color clear. So when black and white come together, white holds all the colors. It's a prismatic light rainbow. All the color comes from light. Black holds all the colors. All the color is absorbed in black. When you put the two together, it makes gray. When you put the two together, it makes clear. Clear like a quartz crystal. So hanging out in the neutral zone is something I like to do. Kind of like no mind. And I let my emotions go to neutral. I don't always have to be depressed. I don't always have to be happy. I don't always have to have a purpose. I can just be. Be in the neutral zone, chill the F out. And in the neutral zone, you become highly conductive to all information, all possibilities. And so, and from the neutral zone, you can easily tip over into the, we call it dark or void, or the white void, light, pure light. Infinite information, total receptivity, and total, yeah, it's kind of hard to explain, but I like to be in the neutral zone. Just talking about it puts me there. So, speaking of that, working with energy is the next thing. You have your own energy field, your own bioenergy. Your body produces energy, heat, temperature changes, and sensations. There's a communication network with your own physical being. When you really get to be with you, bring your energy back in. As one guy on the YouTube says, he says, stay in your own frame, get good at understanding people have their own frame. Stay in your reality, stay in your body. Let people stay in their reality, let people stay in their body. When you really, I think that was a really good thing, because then it automatically starts creating healthy boundaries. Boundaries, you could say, is definition, and definition is clarity. So when you clearly define something, you understand it, you know it. So now it's information, clearly defined. So clearly define you as information, your aura as information, and your life. Like, own your space. Let other people own their space, own their information. And so when someone is telling you how life should be and what it is and what they foresee for you, in a weird way, that's just their perspective and their information. You don't have to take it personal. You can be, well, thank you for your perspective. I honor that. I consider it, but I don't need to ingest it. So this is where a lot of how we acquire negative stuff from people, or we might say that they're toxic, or we've absorbed. It's like, it's a practice that you do out in the world on a daily basis as you become aware of your personal boundaries. Not because you didn't like what they were saying, you know, those subconscious inner judgments, and you feel triggered, see psychotherapy work. It's just that you can allow people to say whatever they want. They can have whatever opinion. They can act whatever way they want. A lot of it's just an enrollment to get attention and validation is just more attention. So people just want energy from you. So they'll do all sorts of bizarre things to try to get that attention. Now that you know that, you can be like, I don't need to be attached to it. I don't need to overvalue you by feeling like you're offending me. I don't need to undervalue you. We're all on the same board, the neutral zone. So, in the act of neutrality, a big display of positive or negative is equal to no display of anything. So, get comfortable. In the neutral zone, it's easy to cut ties because you don't feel like you're losing something. You're like, oh, I'm not losing that great psychic who I've been using, or that great magician, or, I'm such a fan of so and so. So you don't feel like it's a loss. Or you also don't feel like good riddance. What a horrible thing to lose. I'm just trying to get rid of this guy or gal or ex or that job or whatever it is. Like when it becomes so extreme, positive and negative, it becomes highly charged. And then we accidentally attach to it. It becomes a part of our personal story. So what's really helped me lately is I just call it filler content. Well, that's just a random person who is rude and abusive and uneducated. They're just filling up a space in the storyline. I might have to go through a series of events. That whole job I was in for the last 4 years was just filler. It just filled up time while I was personally developing. This sounds really bad, but my family who refuses to, uh, I would say, not really exactly embrace me, but also open up for themselves. They don't want to meet me on the same spiritual path. I go, thank you, but now I realize you were just filler content, just amusement. You were just something to amuse myself with during this phase in my life while I was developing on the inside. Thank you. So now I just look at my whole entire past, all my good friends, all my relationships as filler space, filler content, filler people. It's like when you look at a book that you read or you go to a movie, most of it sucked. It was full of random bizarre stuff, a series of events. But only a few of those events you really liked. Like, I'm just going to use Doctor Strange. An event I really liked is when in Doctor Strange 1 is when they opened the door and he like fell into a desert. Wow, I sat through the whole movie just to see that. And the robe, the magical robe that has a life of its own. That was a cool moment. I was like, that was fun. Great. The rest of the show was like filler content. I went to these Marvel movies to see some of my favorite characters brought to life on screen. But then most of it was just filler stuff, not very deep. Doesn't have to be personalized. I don't have to have an emotional or mental attachment to it. I really tried, but then it just didn't happen. So it's easy to let go. So sometimes it just takes time to let go. So, kind of wrapping it up, why did we spend time on boundaries and not overvaluing people, places, things, situations? Don't overvalue your own thoughts / your religion. Whatever you believe is your religion. You can't get around it because religion, they're beliefs that you choose, that you put a high value on. If you can not put such a high value on your thoughts, your feelings, even your physical body, you're alive, you're going to die. Big deal. And now this is the situation of all of us, so we can be a little bit more realistic. And this was all to help us come back to reality, not live a myth or a fictional delusional life. We wanted clarity. And then we also wanted to, because the whole point is you have to be open. You have to be open to receive information that will go against your history, the way you were raised, the way you think reality works, or don't try to force an idea that doesn't work for you. If angels don't work for you, don't work with them. It doesn't have to be a big deal. You don't have to make a statement about you. You don't have to attach to it in a positive or negative way. It can mean nothing. The value on it can come back to zero. Like, this works really good with breaking up with like relationships. It's like you might have found you've overvalued someone, but then when you bring them down, next, call someone else. You might overvalue your job. You might overvalue someone's opinion of you. You might overvalue your client and their opinion of your reading. So all this overvaluing really helped me bring it back to balance. So we're open. We've opened up our mind. We've created space. We've opened up our hearts. Big component. We're kind of neutral about it. So it doesn't all have to be happy ever after. No, there are some real things going on in the world. Overpopulation, not enough food supply, the environment going down, technology taking over, diseases that haven't been cured. There's real things going on. If you're not willing to look at real things, you're not going to get real information. And don't be so overly attached to it. Like, you don't need to be a crusader for righteousness. You don't need to be a crusader for women's rights. So now we're going, okay, I'm a personality and I'm a feminist and I'm all about saving the environment. And you're telling me, Onyx, not to bring that to the table. I'm like, yeah, just for the channel time that you were delivering a service. You can come back to your religion. You can come back to your what you advocate, your mission in life. You can come back to all that. But wouldn't it be nice to have that extra skill of going into neutrality, being of service to the divine and humanity, to walk that middle path and to be able to choose it? Like, until you practice it and are able to do it, that's not a real option for you. It's all just talk. It's all just pretty words. But when you can do it, then when an angel talks to you and tells you something that you don't want to hear, you're not blocking it. You don't have a filter and you don't feel triggered by it. So I didn't believe in angels till I met one. So I don't believe in God or Jesus, but I've channeled Jesus. So when your beliefs don't become who you are and they don't take over your life, you can channel energy, information. It can flow through you. You can be like, yeah, I don't believe this, but it might be true for you and it's moving through me. Big deal. So getting clear. So meditate every day. Ground, relax, get centered, feel your own energy, get really clear, clean up your life. This is all to create clarity. So when something that's not you enters your field of awareness, you can identify it very clearly. Oh, that's my friend's energy. I know that because it's not my energy. This is their frequency. Oh, this is the information that comes to me. Now I choose to speak it and reflect it back to them. I'm nothing special. I'm just a mirror, and I just try to clean the mirror. I position the mirror in a better way. So this is my video on tips for improving your psychic abilities and magical abilities. And let's just call that good, because there was a lot of good things in there. If something resonated with you, take it and practice. Like, there's nothing wrong with practicing your boundaries forever. Like a good month, a good week, a good year. You know, there's nothing wrong with working with your physical energy, feeling your body, and then go channel, you know, or eliminate some beliefs. Oh, yeah, I'm overvaluing my family and my friends. Done. I need to value myself more. I'm done shaming and blaming myself and beating myself up and not believing in me. Whoa, I think that's going to improve your abilities. I think you're going to be more authentic and speak your truth. I call this the authenticity center. So we have our mind and our heart. Let's be authentic with the information flowing.